What's up, everybody? Honey Ash 50 here, bringing you Wiseman, Grandchild anime review. This is episode 3 titled An Emergency Arises. This was a very interesting episode. It got more deep, I guess you can say, into politics and the story itself. And these demons are finally taking place in the story. But it begins with Shen doing his regular routine of picking up Cicelyne and Maria to school because, they're being harassed by Kurt. And he takes them to school, and they have like this lovey-dovey sweet moment between Cicely and Shen, who they both obviously like each other. And you have Maria in the back just saying, "This is too early for my stomach to turn." And then, we get to school and everybody's saying good morning and greeting each other. Then the teacher steps in and they do their work for school. And after schoolwork, the teacher takes them to the outside of the school, and he shows them that the school has 2 buildings. One is the building where they study at. I guess you can say like the school building. But the second building is the club activity building. And it actually has a couple of different parts in that second building. I wrote down the classes that faculty have. They have the attack faculty club, or faculty, however translation you want to go by. But I'm just going to go by club, because that's the translation that Shin was going by. Now, the attack club, as it states, is about using attack magic and how to master it and its potency. Then the second class that we got introduced to was the quality of life class. And basically that class is about making things that will make life easier. Like cooking utensils, harps, things that we use in our daily routine of life. Clothes, shampoo, making, all that daily stuff that we use. Then the other classes is body language class, which that one is about mages physically getting stronger and physically using magic to enhance themselves. And these are the 3 classes we got introduced to in this faculty of the second building. And August, as always, I love this character more and more. He's like my favorite character. August comes out of nowhere and tells Shen, "Well, if none of these classes seems interesting to you, maybe you should make your own class." And when August said this, everybody was agreeing. And they're like, yeah, sure. And they were like, "If you make a club, we're join. And the teacher was like, "Well, if you're going to make a club, I can be your supervisor." And he goes like this to him. And he was like, "Wait, I didn't say I want to make a club." And then everyone else is like talking over Shin, thinking about what type of club to make and different names of it. And he's like in the background trying to like talk, saying, "I don't want to make a club for myself." But apparently that's going to happen anyway because they never really give him a choice. So it was a funny cute moment between them. And we got all the other students that we're going to see with Shin from now on. As we seen in the opening, we finally get all their names. We got the bodyguards of Prince August, which I forgot to mention their names last week, which is Thor and Julius. Thor is the chick with the glasses, and the tall husky dude, his name is Julius. Those are 2 students that are not just the bodyguards of August, but also they're part of Shin and August's class. Then we get the girl named Alice. She's a little blonde-haired girl that's hyperactive. We get Tony, which is the only other guy there besides Julius and Shin and August. Then we get Leah, and then we get Yuri. Which Yuri, she kind of reminds me of Rengiku from Bleach. If anyone ever watched the series Bleach, she kind of reminds me of her. But yeah, these are all the new cast that we get introduced to, and they are all going to be classmates. They are all classmates of Shin. We didn't get to see the other classes yet. We know Kirk, he's in another class with other students. But right now, these are all the members in Shin's class. So, and I believe we got his teacher's name too, but I forgot what it was. But as they start talking about that, we shift over to something very dark. We shift over to Kurt's house. And Kurt's dad is screaming. And when Kurt comes down, he said, "What's up, Father?" "What's going on, Father?" And he was like, "You know what's going on. I got a call today from the Majesty himself." And when he heard that, Kurt already knew that August must have told his dad something about that situation they had in episode 1. So, his dad got mad and he gripped him up and he's like, you know better. You know you can't use your status of royalty in that school and try to make people do what you want. And he slaps his dad's hands on him and he starts going chaotic like crazy, telling him, I'm special, I will always be special. I'm on top of everybody else, but they keep defiling me, blah, blah, blah. It's all thanks to that Wolford kid. He needs to be gone. And his father, hearing him say this, you know, that's a threat to someone's life. So his father gets upset and he punches him right in the face, sends him to the floor. And he's like, I'm disappointed in you. You should know better than this. He's like, you're going to be grounded until I think of a punishment for you. And he calls the guards of the household to take his son and put his son back in his room. And the school was told about this, that he's grounded, so he's not allowed to leave the mansion, which means he can't go to school at all. So, and Shem, when he found out, he's like, why does Kirk act like this? And they was like, we don't know. But thanks to Thor, she brings up a good point, that he started changing and acting arrogant and stocky like this when he was joining the laboratory of Dr. Sorham. I'm probably butchering his name. But supposedly this guy is blind from both eyes and he has an eye patch on. And he was exiled from an emperor, another country emperor, and he came over here. And basically he started acting up since he started hanging out with him and going to his lab. So Shin was like, this is interesting. We have to investigate him. And the instant he said this, we shift back over to Kurt's house again. And his mom is crying, and she tells this guy who comes in, who we get to see what he looks like, Stronum. He's actually the guy that we see in the opening. If you guys see in the opening, in the final panel, we get Shin and all his friends line up. But then we get to see the bad guys behind them, which is something casual that we see in anime openings. Well, he was one of the 4 bad guys that's behind her, so. And she begs him, please, help my son, you're the only one that he could listen to, since you're his teacher. And he was like, yeah, sure, don't worry, I got this. But when he ended up going in the room, he kind of, like, used some type of weird spell on him, and he was brainwashing him, saying, yeah, you are special, you are number 1. If you want to get the girl of your dreams, you have to eliminate Wolford, you have to eliminate your target. So he does like this weird magic thing on his head and he makes him like go berserk. Then we get to see Shin and the group. We shift back to them again and they eat in the cafeteria. And this weird discussion was brought up, and as you see in one of my thumbnails, he told them that he killed a bear demon when he was 10 by himself. Everybody was like, shocked, and it was just funny. And we also got this cute moment with Celine, where it's like August is teasing, saying, well, I guess since Kurt's grounded, you don't have to walk these young ladies home no more. And she kind of depressed over it. And you see Maria, she's also there kind of like smirking and laughing at Celine. And I love the chemistry between these guys, because it's like the way August is with Shin, that he's always poking at him for fun, but he still accepts him as a friend and he respects him as one. Cicelyne and Maria are the same way. Maria's always taking shots at Cicelyne, but it's in a friendly manner because they are close friends. So I like seeing this relationship between them. I wouldn't be surprised if Maria ends up with August, since they're so similar and they pushing their best friends to be together. So, but after the cafeteria, when they leave to go back to their class or study hall, I forgot where they were going, Kurt actually shows up and he attacks them. And Shin steps in and he does use his barrier magic to protect himself. But unfortunately, he was still hurt. And his hands were completely burnt. He had like a burnt mark on his face. But his auto heal kicked in and rejuvenated it. It just took a lot longer than it should have. And he realized, why is this happening? And when he looked at Kurt again, he realized that Kurt is becoming demonized. He's becoming like this half demon, half human creature. So he told August to take everybody and leave. And he's like, you're going to fight this guy by yourself? Don't you want to help? And he was like, I got this. And he was like, oh, so we are bothered to you. And Shin turned around and he was like, yeah, you are. And August and him kind of had that like little face argument. It felt kind of weird because they were so friendly to each other for like the past 2 episodes. And then this 3rd episode they were friends. But then this moment kicked in and it's like, you see hostility right there between each other. I don't think it's gonna be a common thing, but I think it was more like Shin was trying to play it off to be like the bad hero, and that he could do this on his own. But I believe August caught on to Shin's, bluff, and he was like, okay, bet. And he told everyone to leave, when he told his two bodyguards to get the guards. And he's gonna protect everybody else. But in honesty, all they did was actually hide, and they were actually watching Shin's fight against this demonized Kirk. And he was trying to knock him unconscious with light spells, but every spell he used, everyone he was holding back, was doing massive damage. And he was like, what can I do to knock this guy out or capture him alive? But unfortunately, he didn't get the chance to do it because Kirk actually ended up taking all his magic energy and putting it in himself, and he was drawing it. And it explained that Shin said if he continues to do this, he's going to blow up and take the whole school with him. So Shin had no choice but to finish them off, and he decapitated him with a magic sword that he summoned. And all his friends are like, wow, you took down a demonized person. That hasn't been done in years, since the last heroes. And then when Kurt's bodyguards get there with the guards they were supposed to fetch, they was like, hey, where's this demonized human y'all were talking about? And then August was like, Shin, things are going to get a lot harder for you. He's like, what do you mean? And he ends up with a smile telling all his bodyguards, this is Merlin and Guru's grandson, Shin Wolffield. He's the one who just destroyed the demon that's laying over there, human. And all the guards started chanting and hurrahing for him, and Shin was like, this is what you mean? And it was just another funny moment. I guess that was August's way of not just teasing Shin, but paying him back for saying that they're going to be a bother for him. Because we do see in the opening and ending that they are going to fight with Shin. So, or at least he is. And the two female chicks, our main cast basically, August, Shin, Ceciline, and Maria. I can't say nothing about the other students, but they most likely play support, and these four will play the main heavy hitters of the story. But that was the end of the episode. It was a good episode, very funny, but emotional at the same time because we see the struggle of Shin. He's used to killing demons, but not humans that become demons. So that kind of bothered him morally. So it's nice to know he's a person with morals and respects. And he's not just some young person that's like, oh, I got power, I can do what I want. So it's nice to see him mature for someone his age. And I can't wait to see how the story take place because, again, I'm not a manga reader or a light novel reader, so I don't really know much about it. I'm an anime only. So correct me down below if I get names wrong or certain situations misconstrued. Because like I said, I don't read the manga or the light novels. But yeah, this was a great episode. I'm loving this series more and more. Hopefully these fight scenes lasted a little bit longer. But the graphic and animation was beautiful. The art was on point. I liked it. I like how they explain things. I know a lot of people probably get upset about things like that, but I'm actually happy they explain their techniques and how things work in this world. So hopefully that's another good factor about it. But that's what I have for you guys. Please comment down below if you liked the episode or you didn't. If I missed anything or I'm saying names wrong, correct me on that as well. I'm bad with names, sorry about that. And yeah, great episode. If you have not watched it, why should you watch it? But that's all I have for you guys. Like, comment, share, subscribe, share with your family and friends. Give this video a like. Follow me on Twitter, link me down below. But that's all I have for you guys. Peace and have a good one.